Hello there, how are you all doing? So nice to see you all. Right, let me just see what's happening here. So welcome to this week's message from Spirit. So good to connect with you all and to be a part of your world again tonight. So I'm just switching off my phone because it pinged as I started. Right, hello, so I see Cheryl's there and I just see everybody coming on board. So nice to meet you. Oh, nice to see you. I just want to see what's happening here. So I've got a poll that I've added in. So if you want to participate in the poll there, you can just give me answers to your questions around do you journal as part of your spiritual practice. Right, so hello. Let's see who's here. So this week, this full moon has certainly created a little bit of upset in many people's worlds. So I'm not sure about you, but this energy following this last full moon has really created a space for us to truly find our voice. And I think that that's been the big thing that's going on, a lot to do with finding your voice. So thank you for all the messages of kindness and care. I am 1,000 times better than I was last week, and I'm doing really well, and I'm very happy. So I've just finished running the 2 Soul Compass workshops, and such an amazing workshop setting of Soul Compass. Some of you were there. It really was a beautiful space to connect with your spirit and your own divinity. I'll be sending out some information in the next few days about what came up there, and how to use some of the energetic forces that are around for this year. You would have seen a crystal grid that I created and put up earlier with an Ankh symbol, and certainly Isis and the Ankh has come forward very strongly to work with this year, and you'll see I'll be sending out some information around that in the days and weeks that come up. But let's have a look at this week and see what this week is about. And what's in store for us energetically this week, and then I'll do some live reading. So I connected in and got the crystal prescription for this week. So the crystal that came forward is a not a very well-known crystal, and it's called watermelon tourmaline. And just the name is fun, I suppose. So watermelon tourmaline, I don't have a piece of it here, but I have a bangle. So I'm not sure if you can see. I just want to see if I can get rid of this poll that is on my screen. No, I can't. Can you see it? So you'll see in this watermelon tourmaline, it's all different colors, like pinks and purples and greens and yellows. And when you get a full piece of watermelon tourmaline, it almost comes in these rings. So the outside is like a grey, silvery color, and then it goes into a green, and then it goes in purple, and it goes into pink, and it goes into yellow. So it's like these bands of color that come up in the watermelon tourmaline. And watermelon tourmaline is this very sort of light crystal. It's a fun crystal. It's all about connecting to your joy and finding that sort of innocent expression in the world, but it's cleansing in that way. So it's like a good laugh, you know, when you there's often the guides come forward and they tell me the prescription for somebody who's battling with something is to go and sit and have a good laugh, put on some funny movies and just laugh, because almost that sort of laughter is like a massage on the inside. It shifts energy up, and it brings a new perspective and gets things flowing again. So whenever we're stuck, something like a good cry is just as good as a good laugh sometimes, and that's why the friends in our lives that make us laugh and relax and just have some fun. This is healing in itself, and certainly many clients that are quite ill, even a big prescription to help them be able to absorb any medicine is to laugh. And so watermelon tourmaline is a sort of laughter kind of crystal. It's a very light, fun, playful crystal, and it's got all these beautiful colors, I'm sure you can see it there, that come into it, and really you can even just feel the vibration is just so playful and innocent. Yeah, so that's the crystal that came forward this week. So we'll see what the guys then have to say from a energy perspective and what cards that they bring forward. So as always, for those of you that have not joined me before, I'm going to pull 3 cards, and this is like a sort of universal reading for this week. It gives us sort of a sense of sort of like what's the best way for me to describe it? Like a forecast, like a little bit of if you think of the weather, like a weather forecast is like an energy forecast, and not in the prescription of this is what will happen, but almost in preparing you to align yourself energetically with what is coming up this week. Right, so see, I just want to answer this question quickly. Michelle asked me emailing these videos. Michelle, I haven't been. I'm going to be sending out an email this week and giving a new process of where you can find these videos. So I'm going to start loading these videos onto my YouTube channel. If you subscribe there, you'll be able to just automatically be able to get them and go back to the any of the readings. So I will be sending out this week. Sorry, January has been crazy busy for me, so I'm sorry that I haven't sent that out as yet, but I will be doing so. All right, so let's connect with the guides and ask them to come forward and see what messages they would like to bring forward for everybody. There's the 3 cards. The first card is what do we need to pay attention to this week. The next card is what support is available this week. And the third card, what opportunities exist this week. All right, so let us see. Okay. Right, so there's card number 1, card number 2, and card number 3. Right, let's see. Okay, so what do we need to pay attention to this week? What do we need to stay awake to and stay open to and see what's going on? And for those of you that haven't seen it yet, there's a little bit of a poll going on the page. So at the same time, if you'd like to fill in that poll, you can do so for me. That would be great. So the card that comes forward of what do we need to pay attention to this week? Sorry, my screen goes all weird on here. Is connect back to source. Connect back to source. Can somebody tell me, is the poll on your screen as well? Because when I hold it up like this, can you see the card? Because I've got a poll on mine and it is hiding things from me. So I'm just checking with you if you can see it if I hold it up like this. So connect back to source. When we have a look at this card, it really is useful to pay attention to sort of like these sort of vibrations that are existing in the sort of column of light going on inside of this body, and sort of how this universal energy is internal and external. Okay, thank you. So you can see the card, so that's perfect. So when you have a look at it, it's this real concept of you are part of the energy of the universe. Is that the energy of the universe is not separate to you. It's not something distant from you. So when we talk about the divine, or we talk about God, or we talk about source, or we talk about universe, or any of these sorts of things, it's not something you have to go and seek. It's not something you need to go and find a way to do something with. It's not really like somebody living in a separate country to you and you have to get on a plane and go to them to find them. It's not about chasing after anything. It really is about looking inwards and allowing yourself to connect with the source of you, the truth of you, and the divinity within you, the God-like essence that exists within you, which is really equated to your spirit or your soul or your essence or there's so many words that are used to describe this. And so when we understand that you are the source of you, the question that comes up in terms of this week is, what are you plugging into? If we understand that we're looking for energy in many ways, if we're seeking energy, the question of what do we plug into to get energy is really an interesting question. A little bit like if I wanted to plug in my laptop, I need to plug it into the wall and there's a source of energy, and I don't quite know how it works because I'm not that person, but there's an electrical surge and that charges my computer. Now for me as a human being, what do I plug into to connect back and to recharge myself and to energize myself and get myself charged up. And in order to understand this, we have many dependencies and many decoys with this. Some of us tend to plug ourselves in from our solar plexus chakra, and we plug ourselves into other people. And so when we plug ourselves into other people, this is when we become dependent on other people for the source of energy in us. Empaths tend to withdraw this plug, but then they don't know what to plug into, or they plug into certain people. And then we get certain dependencies. We could plug into our work. We can plug into, alcohol and various other things to try and get a source of energy to uplift ourselves, to feel better. And all of these things are fine in moderation, not a problem at all, provided you're not getting into an attachment and a dependency on them. And when we start into attachments and dependencies, then they start becoming depleting. But all these sources of energy are, they sort of go in highs and lows. And so it can be withdrawn, and it can be given and withdrawn and withgiven. But when we connect to source, there's this unconditional supply. It's like perpetual, it's infinite, and this infinite supply of source energy allows us to continuously live in our light and be recharged. And in order to plug into this, it's so much more about plugging into our hearts, plugging into our divinity, and allowing source energy to connect in through us, crown chakra, and flow in through us. And so a beautiful meditation that I teach on my Lifting the Veil course is really to stand up every morning and to imagine this pillar of light coming in through your crown chakra and flowing in through you and all the way down into your legs, down into the earth. And the mantra is, I connect to source and I stay grounded in my truth. I connect to source and I stand grounded in my truth. I connect to source and I stand grounded in my truth. And just imagining this perpetual light flow coming in from there. And so the what do you need to pay attention to this week is really, what are you plugging into that maybe is taking you on a high and a low? And if you could unplug from that and plug into the source of you, knowing that you and your own divinity are your own energy source. And I'm talking here about emotional energy. I'm talking here about spiritual energy. I'm not talking about food and these sorts of things. That's a different energy. But as important to notice how you manage yourself through these energy flows and dips and peaks. So that's the card of what we need to pay attention to this week. The card that then comes up in terms of what support is available for us this week is perspective. What is small is big, and what is big is small. What is small is big, and what is big is small. And this is really asking us to pay attention to what we are paying attention to. I like that. Pay attention to what you're paying attention to. You know, is the things that you're giving energy to the things that are really important to you? Or are you tending to give energy to things that A, you cannot control, or B, don't serve your highest good, or C, are for other people's benefit more than yours, or are really just a bottomless pit of pouring your energy into something that does not ask for it? Yeah, we are so good at draining ourselves. Yeah, is that we are not very discerning sometimes about noticing what fills us up and what drains us. And paying attention to what we're paying attention to is something that really allows us to start honoring ourselves and honoring what's important to us and noticing our own boundaries and noticing what is good for us and what is not, and how we step into this place of unconditional love for ourselves. And this does not mean necessarily withdrawing from some places, but it may mean withdrawing from giving energy to some things. Yeah? And so we can be present to something and not give energy to it. And we can be, so what is it that you are assigning your energy to? You know, what is it that and so many people I work with are so distracted by the chaos of life that they get very fragmented in their energy. They're giving a lot of energy to a lot of different things. And that's okay, provided it's intentional and not just pulled. And when people are pulling your energy, you have the choice to give it to them or not. And if you don't want it, you don't have to. And so learning to say yes, say no, and prioritize that which is important to you is a very important way of staying connected to source and aligning yourself with what's your truth. So the card that then comes forward in terms of what's the opportunity that exists this week. And this card is one that is about noticing how we are being called into our light. How do we step more into our spiritual growth and become more of the essence of who we are? And the card that comes forward here is you're not being punished. You're not being punished. Mm-hmm. So when we have a look at this message and how it's flowing in terms of a sense of our energy and what we're giving attention to, and how much energy we're gaining and how much energy we're draining, we need to understand that we're our own, what's the guy who manages the orchestra? Conductor. We're our own energy conductor. We're the own conductor of the symphony of our lives. We decide. This is what free will essentially is. Free will is the decision point you have of how you use your energy, what you get energy from and what you give energy to. That's your ultimate decision-making criteria that exists in each minute of the day. And how you're using that is up to you. And so if you're feeling exceptionally drained, exceptionally depleted, exceptionally exhausted, it really is up to you to decide what it is that you're giving energy to that's not good for you. And instead what we do is we tend to step into a feeling of like, it's been done to us. And when it feels like it's been done to us, that's when we get into this feeling of being caged and punished. And what's really beautiful about this card is you'll see this bird is sitting in the bird cage. It's not in the bird cage. It's not trapped at all. It's sitting here with the bird cage and it's not flying away. And so it's its own attachment to the belief that its safety is in this bird cage that keeps it attached to this, rather than noticing, how do I free myself? How do I release? And how do I let go of anything that I'm attached to that is holding me into playing this game? So a lot of message around detachment and self-management, I think, self-soothing, self-management, paying attention to what is good for you and what is not good for you, and aligning yourself with this, is that becomes the gift of this week. Right, okay, so let us see. So I'm going to start, let's just see who's here. I'm going to start doing the personal messages. So those of you that have not been online with me before, the way it works is really my guides just naturally call me to whoever's going to give the sort of most supportive message for the group. So if I don't call you specifically, it does not mean that there isn't a message for you. Listen to the other people's messages, because there probably is one for you. And please don't go into the I'm not loved and my guides don't love me and I'm ignoring you and all these sorts of things. It is really quite an energetic pull. I don't scroll back up, so continue to ask if you want a reading, and then we will see what it is that the guides would like to tell you tonight. Right, okay, let's start. All right, Charlene Pretorius. Please, can I get a reading? Really need one tonight. Big decisions that I need guidance on. All right, Charlene, let us see what your guides would like to tell you. For those of you that are still interested, I'm running a special in January for remote readings to connect with your higher self and get an invitation for 2019 from your higher self. There's a Facebook post around it. I'll find it again. And that's available still till the end of the month, so until Thursday. So if you'd still like to get a invitation from your higher self, remote reading, 600 Rand, you can book it. I'll add a link onto this. It's called this video. Words are eluding me tonight. So clearly, words are not the most important thing tonight. All right, Charlene, you have said there's big decisions that you need guidance on. The message that's coming forward for you from your guides is be brave. And you can see this beautiful card of this woman sitting like it's, you can decide if it's sunrise or sunset, but it really is at a place of transition. And she's standing here very warrior-like, but focusing on her, where she's going to. So she's not running, she's not doing anything, she's really just getting ready to decide which direction to go in and what to do. And when we start noticing this message, the way your guides come forward in terms of bravery, to step into bravery, we need to understand what the essence of bravery is. Bravery is very seldom fight. It's not about going to war. In your case, more specifically, it's not about going to war. It's about being decisive. And decisiveness means, when we're looking at that earlier message that was coming forward, is about knowing what it is that you're wanting to do and not allowing yourself to be manipulated by any external source to doing what somebody else wants you to do. And people are always going to have an opinion of what they think you should be doing, and very seldom is that actually the opinion that is truthful for you. And that doesn't mean that there aren't people that don't have an opinion that is truthful for you. But when we start listening to too many people, please know that most of us come from our own projection and come from our own desire and our own fears and our own insecurities and our own wants. And so very seldom do you get someone who can give you clean information about decisions that you need to make. This doesn't mean not asking people. You can certainly gather data from others, but you are the master of your own destiny, and the courage to make a decision is really what's important here. And when we start looking at decisions, the only way to get courageous enough to make decisions is to absolutely know this truth. It's never the final decision. It's never the final decision. It's just the next decision. And the next decision will lead you to the next place in your life, and then you can make another decision and another decision and another decision. It's never the final choice, the final decision. And so that alleviates some of the pressure to do the right thing or do what's there. It's just where do you get pulled to what you want to do? And to listen to that inner voice. And that inner voice may go against logic, but it's the choice that serves you, and it's the choice that's good for you. Right, so be brave. That means transition is coming, and it's time for you to embrace that. Right, Michelle Silla, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight, Michelle. Please feel free to share this. If you love these readings and enjoy coming on Monday nights, it'd be lovely if you would do a review on my page. That's always a wonderful thing to have done. And if you feel drawn to do that, I'd appreciate it, yeah? All right, Michelle, let us see what your guides are telling you tonight. There's a fight between two cards, so both are coming out, so we'll do both. Ha! All right, so the first card that comes up is Everything Serves. Everything serves. The next card that came up is Be Brave. So this card is repeating itself tonight. And so when we have a look at this Everything Serves card, you will see that there's these sort of puzzle pieces falling from the sky, and the sky is picking up the puzzle piece and like looking around like, what's it about? What must I do with this? And the awareness is that, very much like when we're building a puzzle, if you think of when we're building a puzzle, the puzzle needs every single piece there. But if we look at a piece in isolation, it's never going to make sense. And sometimes when we're building a puzzle, we can have a piece, it's there all the time. We keep trying to put it in, it doesn't fit, and we have to put it down. And try and put it in, it doesn't fit, so we put it down. And eventually, when we find it fitting, it kind of makes sense then. It's like, oh, so it goes here, so that's a piece of the woods, or that's a piece of the grass, or that's this. But in its smallness, in its littleness, in the tiny piece, we can't see what it's aiding. We can't see what it's contributing to, but we do know it serves a purpose. And so when we think of a message that came forward earlier today, the perspective, what is small is big and what is big is small, it's similar kind of energy of like everything that happens, everything that's going on, all these things that are going on, you may not understand how it impacts in the bigger picture, but it does serve, and that puzzle piece is as important as every other puzzle pieces. So the ones that make sense to you, good job. The things that don't, one day it will, and that's all okay. And so the sort of confusion that can come up is that's why we get this Be Brave card that's coming forward for you. Because again, I get this sort of energy and message, Michelle, that there's something about a transition going on in your life, that something's been called. Let me make this very clear the way they're showing it. It's like your guides are saying there's something that does need a transition. And there's something that needs to be paid attention to. There's something in your life that's asking to be changed. And you may not understand why, and you may not even understand what it is, but just paying attention to it in itself, just holding it, just looking, just being at one with it. This could be a useful exercise for you to start seeing what happens from there. And the bravery is, again, listening to the calling of what needs to change. Most of us can hear that calling. We feel that restlessness. We know something's up, but we ignore it, we block it, and then it gets louder and louder and louder. So it's really a message of paying attention, I think, predominantly, Michelle. Right. All right, Maxine Ashley Goods. I'm about to get myself into something. I'm not sure if you could help me. All right, let us see what your guides would like to tell you. Let's see what your guides would like to tell you. Maxine. Okay, Maxine, the cards that's come forward for you is synchronicity, see the signs. Synchronicity, see the signs. And see this 1111 coming forward here. Now, and as I see that, I see her saying I'm all about paying attention. Yeah, so, all right, so Maxine, when this card comes up, when there's a card about paying attention, seeing the signs, staying awake, it is not so much about looking for a sign of saying, yes, this is good, or no, that is bad. Please know that the divine does not work that way, because you have free will, and the free will is more important than sometimes we want to give our decision making over to someone else. So we want to, I wouldn't have, and I used to say very much, it wasn't my calling to do this work. The divine wanted me to do it. And eventually my cards were like, seriously, if you keep on saying that, it's something we're going to have to deal with, because I had choice to do this work too. It's not happening to me. And when we abdicate our free will even to the divine or to the guides, this is something that we need to notice in ourselves and honor. And so the synchronicity, the see the signs, is more about asking you to stay awake to how you are experiencing yourself in this process. And so if your inner voice is one of doubt or resistance or not wanting to do it, we need to decipher this a little bit more. Is it because of fear, or is it because of intuition? And fear is different to intuition. Fear comes with a lot of drama and a big story about why we should or shouldn't do something. Whereas intuition comes with this very silent, stable voice. When I say silent, I mean it's like just not very loud. It's just got this sort of like stability to it. And so it'll just be like, do that. Go here. No. Yes. It's simple, simple, simple. No storytelling, no drama. No anything. And so when we're going through changes or looking for things to do, the signs and the symbols and the way the divine work are ways to keep us awake so we can pay attention to finding that voice, so we can find that. And the simplest way to do it is to really just say, my heart says, my head says, my spirit says. and just to notice the answers that come up with that. What is being shown to me, and this is really probably something that's quite useful for you, is that the synchronicity, the signs that are coming forward for you, also coming as messages of validation and support from those that have crossed over. And so there seems to be it seems to be more than one people that have crossed over that are supportive of you in your life. And sometimes you're feeling quite lonely and isolated, and they are trying to get your attention and are sending signs to you. The signs seem to be in music, and the signs seem to be in words. So obviously that aligns with music, but it could be words from me now. It could be any words that you hear or see other people sharing with you. But any words that resonate with you are coming from those that have crossed over, that want you to know that you are supported and loved. Right, let us see who is next. Oh, there you go, Michelle. Tracy Ferguson. Hi, Taryn. Any guidance for what feels like a very lost soul currently? Tracy, are you referring to yourself as the lost soul? You're asking me to do a reading on someone else. So if you could just let me know, Tracy, if you're still around, if it's easy for you to do this for me. Yes, there you go, Maxine. Tracy, so are you looking for guidance? Are you the lost soul, or are you looking for guidance on someone else or for someone else? You can let me know that. If it doesn't come up soon, I'm going to move on to the next person, and then I'll come back to you, Tracy. I just want to confirm if it's a reading for you or for someone else. Okay, all right, Tracy, if you let me know, I'll come back to you. All these decisions that are being made by everybody at this point in time, please know, and Melisha, I'm going to do a reading for you. Please know you can never make the wrong decision. You cannot make the wrong decision. You can only make the next decision. So when you listen to that Be Brave card that came forward just now, it's about making a decision. Okay, Tracy, I see you saying please, but I'm not sure if it's on you or on someone else. So if you could let me know on that. All right, Melisha, let us see what your guides want to tell you. There's 2 ways to go. There's always more than 2 ways to go. All right, let us see. It's not nice when I giggle before I show you the cards. Okay, Tracy, I'll do that for you now. Embrace the messiness of life. Embrace the messiness of life. Okay, so Melisha, when you have a look at this card, you're going to see that there's these paint pots, and you're going to see how messy they are. You know, like it's red and black, and there's yellow, and all these things are mixed up, and this sort of thing. Is life doesn't work in these like very neat compartments. That things blend and bleed, and actually, this is the beauty of life: is that the contrast. Things that happen in contrast to each other, they create the beauty. So, you know, if we have a look at an art piece or a beautiful piece of art, there's always going to be negative space, and there's going to be shadow, and there's going to be contrasting colors. And the contrasting colors, the negative space, the shadow elements, these are the really important things that bring out the vibrancy and the beauty in life. And so if we even just try to paint a picture just with all the pretty colors, pretty stuff, we're going to miss out on the contrast, and without the contrast we lose perspective and we lose the ability to notice the beauty. So the contrast and the shadow and the difficulty is what brings the beauty in life. And so the messiness of life is what brings the beauty. And so now, as I show you in this place where you are trying to make decisions and you don't know which way to go, the thing that is making it the hardest is you're trying to make this choice, make these decisions, and you don't want it to disrupt anything. You don't want anything to get messed up in the process. And that's an impossible thing to do, is that as we make choices to shift or change, if we make a decision to move house, for example, then things are going to get disruptive. We make a decision to end a relationship, things are going to get disruptive. We make a decision to take a new job, things are going to get disrupted. True to form, even if we make a decision to get a job or go to the shops, things are disrupted. It creates turmoil, it creates movement, it creates flow. And so as that flow happens, as that transition happens, it's messy. Some people like it, some people don't. Things don't go according to plan. All sorts of things happen in this space. And so not making a decision, holding back because I don't want things to get disrupted, makes it even more disruptive, because everything and everybody just goes into a holding pattern of waiting to know what's going to happen. So this is a lot about, when they give you this embrace the messiness of life, it's, if I had to give you another way of hearing this, it's about trust yourself through the transitions. Trust yourself to handle things as they go through turmoil, because turmoil is a very natural state in life and a very important state of life. We don't need continuous turmoil. This is not turmoil. This is not necessary. But whenever we're going to make a decision, turmoil will exist. The sooner we make decisions, the more clear we are with others about our decisions, the more we just direct in our decisions, the less messy it is. And I can't say this enough for the group and everybody who's listening here, because it's the way the guides are talking about it, is that most of the time the messiness and the turmoil comes from us trying to please other people, saying what we think it is they want to hear, rather than just speaking our truth and being direct. And the minute we direct, everything can come back into alignment. And so a big part of this card, Melisha, is about just decide, make a decision. Be direct, say what you want, and trust yourself that the turmoil will restore back to, there's always chaos, and then we come back to the calm. All right. Okay, I'm in Tracy. Let me do the reading that I promised you, and we'll see who's next. All right, Tracy. I hope that resonates for you, Melisha. It seems like there's a lot of you on here that are looking at making decisions and moving the way forward and doing these sorts of things. Trust yourselves. Trust yourselves. Yeah. All right, Tracy, let's see what's going on for you tonight. You called yourself a lost soul, yeah? You are safe. You are safe. Okay. So when you have a look at this card, you'll see a number of things, and I want to point out quite a few of these. So the first is you're going to see the hexahedron sacred geometry here, which is essentially the cube. And the cube is a very stable, and it's all about releasing fear. It's about grounding. It's about being on earth, and it's about embracing the stability and releasing the fear. And so when we get the card, you are safe, you'll see safe is amplified. And it's knowing that the safety exists. And we can see this beautiful sun, and then we have the silhouette of these two people free falling down to earth. And we imagine these to be souls that are free falling down to earth. It's a willing jump. It's a willing, probably the thing that's most about this sort of skydiving kind of energy is there's a willingness to fall. There's a willingness to experience the euphoria of that, knowing full well that there's this period of not knowing what's going on, and then as you pull the parachute, everything comes up and you've got this safe landing, and that happens. Now, if we had to think of this in terms of life, there's a willingness to come to earth, and there's a willingness to explore your life, and there's a willingness to enjoy your life the way it is. And there's plenty and plenty of parachutes along the way, plenty of safety. The only time we don't have that is when the day we die, and then we're not worried about dying anymore. And this isn't about a life or death. This is more about living and enjoying life and allowing yourself to experience life because you are safe to experience it. That you came here to experience it, and it's time to experience it, and to it's kind of like you keep holding yourself back, not allowing yourself to go into the experience of your life, go into the free fall of your life. And so, Tracy, the message that's coming up is that if you could take on board this mantra, I am safe. If I'm safe, what can I do? I can do anything. You know, I am safe does not mean there isn't turmoil, there isn't difficulty, but it means you're safe in it, that you can handle whatever's going your way. And most of the things that we blow up in our mind to be so terrible are not as terrible as we think they are. And the anxiety that's coming up a lot is anxiousness. It's got a lot to do with predicting a future that you imagine you can't handle. And the challenge with that is that it's a prediction of a future, it's not actual, so you don't have to handle it. And so your body has no resources to handle something that's imaginary. And then the lack of belief in yourself that holds you, and I'm not going to be able to handle my future, it keeps you in this state of worry, the state of fear, the state of anxiety. And so you're safe, and you can handle whatever life throws at you. And there is nothing you can't deal with, they're saying. So I hope that that makes sense for you and resonates with you. Pleasure, Melisha. All right, let us see. Malika sending me all these very cute things. So let's catch that heart and see what it is your guides would like to tell you tonight, Malika. Right. Okay. Okay, Malika, the card that comes forward for you is it is safe for you to receive. It is safe for you to receive. And so, when we have a look at this and the way your guides come forward with this, is they kind of show me like, it's so funny because the way, oh good, I'm glad, Tracy. The little picture you sent me has got this little dude with the fishnet or the butterfly net and chasing after this heart. And the image your guides brought forward straight away is like, imagine a little girl running through a field with a net and trying to catch the fireflies. And as she runs around trying to catch the fireflies, to put it in a jar and to catch the magic and to catch the beauty and to do all these things, the thing that happens, the very nature of running around and chasing it, means it is elusive and you can't get to it, and it runs away and flies away and does all these sorts of things. So whatever we chase eludes us. It disappears. But if, as that little girl, if you imagine if she had to sit still and become at one with the earth, the sort of fireflies would come to her and land on her. And so the magic becomes you. And the more at one you are, and the more still you are, the more you allow that which you want to come to you. And to become the magnet to it is far more valuable than to become the chaser of it. And so there's this energy of receiving, of allowing things to come to you, rather than thinking you need to chase after whatever it is, whether that be money, whether that be love, whether that be abundance, whether that be peace, whether that be anything, is how do you become the magnet for it, is a far more intrinsic use of your energy. What I mean by intrinsic is an internal and useful use of your energy than trying to find the tools to chase after things. And so this is a really important message about receiving what you want rather than chasing after what you want to make it happen. There you have it. I hope that that makes sense for you. All right. All right, let's see here. What's these funny messages coming up here? Ravina, let us see what your guides would like to tell you tonight, Ravina. I'm just checking the time there. All right, Ravina, let's see. Oh, I'm glad you like that, Malika. All right, Ravina, let us see what your guides want to tell you tonight, sweetheart. All right, so a message that's coming forward for you. Okay, so it's a message that we've had, and you would have seen this earlier if you were online. If not, you can go and have a listen to it. Everything serves. Everything serves. The way your guides come forward with this, Ravina, is they're actually shifting the language to say everybody serves. And so this means people in your life, the people, particularly the people that well, it's not only particularly. We have people that come into our lives, and we're very connected to them. We love them, we appreciate them, we feel supported by them, we support them, etc., etc. And then we have people in our lives that come into our life and they rub us up the wrong way, and they frustrate us, and they trigger us, and they, whatever it is, reject us, hurt us, do all these things. This group of people are as meaningful and useful in your journey as the other group of people. Everybody serves. It all serves your awareness of yourself and your growth in yourself. I often say when I'm running workshops, is that if you think of the person who frustrates you the most, the person who pushes your buttons, the person that can, just irritates you, you could think of this person as your angel, because this person comes into your world and shows you a part of who you are and shows you your triggers. They're not doing anything to push your buttons. You have a button. And the fact that you have a button means it will be pushed. And somebody's going to push it until you desensitize yourself, heal whatever it is, because triggers are really wounds that have not been healed. I think that's beautiful. I've never said that in that way before. Triggers are wounds that have not been healed as yet. And so we need the people in our life that push our buttons, that trigger us, because it shows us something that needs to be healed, or an area we need to grow, or something we need to develop in ourselves. And so they're bringing forward that there's this awareness that to stay awake and pay attention to how everybody serves you in your life. That does not mean we need to stay with people that treat us badly. Certainly not, because sometimes that's the very thing that they're serving, is us improving our boundaries, us learning to say no, us walking away, us doing the things that are important for us to learn how to do in our journey. So there you have it, Ravina. Deepa Manilal. Oh, I'm glad, Crystal. So those of you that have not been called, it's in all likelihood there's messages that have come forward for you already. And sometimes your guides will purposely want you to pay attention to the messages that are existing for others and to hear what's important for you. Because often we get very single-minded in things, and we need to stay open to the way the divine works, yeah? All right, Deepa, let us see what your guides want to tell you tonight. Okay, this is one of the cards for 2019. I'll be posting this in the next couple of days now that I've completed Soul Compass. There's 2 cards that have come forward for 2019 as the guidance for this year. The first card is Wholeness, embrace all the parts of you, and in 2019 is a 3-year from a numerology perspective, which is all about integration and harmony and interconnectedness and putting the dots together and finding a way back to this connected place. The other card is the card that you're receiving now, which is Let Joy Be Your Guide. Let joy be your guide. And so when we have a look at this card, the way your guides come forward is it really is, I think for so long, Deepa, the way they're showing it is for so long, you have lived in kind of letting responsibility be your guide. What's the appropriate thing to do? What's the responsible thing to do? What should you do? And we live by the shoulda, coulda, woulda sort of principle. And when we live by the should principle, then we're doing whatever we think we should be doing. It's never what we want to be doing. And so there's this kind of sort of opportunity, this invitation that your guides are bringing forward about how do you now shift that away from responsibility, not that you become irresponsible, more that you shift your primary focus away from responsibility and trust that you're responsible. And so how do I make my own internal desires, my wishes, the things that are important to me part of my guidance, and responsibility will be an intrinsic part of that. It'll flow with it. It's not an either or. We don't either have joy or responsibility. There's an alignment between joy and responsibility that's important for you. But right now, joy is tossed out of the window because of responsibility, and it's about bringing these two things together. All right, Ravina, I'm glad that makes sense for you, love. Okay, let us see. We can do one or two more, so let us see. Sandra Eames. Sandra Eames. Please may I ask what my guides say? Tough time right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Sandra. Let's start off by saying that my heart goes out for you, to you. It's never fun to be in a tough time, yeah? All right. Let's see what message is coming forward for you tonight. Sandra, play. Play, play, play. Enjoy the ride. Have some fun. Yeah? And so this message is not a sort of dismissal of what you're sharing in terms of the way you're experiencing things right now, but it's also sort of like if we have a look at the roller coaster of life, we know that there's sort of like these times, I'm not a fan of roller coasters, to be honest, but if we think of a roller coaster as a metaphor, there's going to be the slow incline and the fast drop, and then the swinging around, and then the hanging underneath, and then the breathing afterwards, and all this, and all of this is part of the sort of part of the fun, part of the joy of it. And we can't enjoy some parts and not other parts, because then we miss out on the experience, on the ride. And there's a sort of perspective shift your guides want to give you, that if this is just the merry-go-round of life, how do you notice what the ride is about and what it is that you can do here. And so when we bring this energy of playfulness, it's like a lightening up. When the lightening up is knowing that nothing lasts forever and everything will flow into what it is. And the more you breathe, the more you engage with what's going on, the more you support yourself and let yourself be supported by other people. And guidance, and let yourself be held and loved through whatever's going on for you, the easier this would be. The way your guides show this to me is they're showing that sort of turmoil that you're in, or the sort of, it's like a washing machine kind of effect that they're giving me right now. It can also be useful to put your feet down and to stand up for what you're needing to do. Because if we think of this washing machine kind of effect, it's just going round and round and round, and now put a peg in the ground, decide something. What is it that you're wanting to do? And small decisions can make the biggest difference at this point in time. It's a tiny decision you can make. Sometimes when we're in turmoil, the smallest decision we can make is what time to go to sleep or what we want to eat. And these decisions are decisions. And just that brings us a semblance of feeling like we have agency and a sense of connectedness to ourselves again. Right, so there we have it. So that brings us to the end of the readings for tonight. It's been awesome to connect with all of you. If you didn't get a reading specifically, I promise you there is a message for you somewhere in tonight. If you happen to find this reading after the fact, have a listen to it. The guidance exists beyond time and space, so odds are pretty good you'll find something that connects for you. Otherwise, sending you all love, peace, joy, and harmony. I will see you next week. Namaste.